Welcome one and all to the most important show on the internet, Woke Watch. The concept for this show came to me recently when I watched The Terminal List. Have you seen The Terminal List? Probably not. While we were watching The Terminal List, I was scrolling through IMDb and happened to see the user reviews for it. And boy howdy, those reviews are something else. 9 out of 10, unapologetically entertaining. A show which doesn't preach, insult, or attack its audience or tries to force-feed a specific message of any kind. That's right, folks. We're very happy that we have a show that says absolutely nothing. 9 out of 10, really good show. Critics are predictably ignorable. I highly recommend you watch this show, not only because it is genuinely good, but as a middle finger to critics who are incapable of keeping their political biases out of entertainment reviews. 9 out of 10, this is real entertainment with no preaching. Most creators use a platform like this to try to pound their agenda in your face. Well, they can pound sand, and creators like Chris and Taylor can get my viewing time. So yeah, apparently the anti-SJW crowd decided to jump on this as their new champion of anti-woke media. But, oh, sweet snowflakes. There's still plenty of stuff in here that could easily be read as woke messaging. Don't worry, it's in everything. In fact, the terminology of woke is now so broad that you can pretty much use it to justify any kind of media. And it got me to thinking, why don't I do a video about it? It would be great. And we'll call it something really catchy, like Woke Watch. Now, while I did watch the entire season of The Terminal List, I have to tell you that I don't remember it very well because it was kind of boring and I tuned it out. So, we're going to go to a story recap that has been provided to me online, and we're going to go over this episode by episode. However, to start, I guess I should give you just the basic idea of what The Terminal List is. It is a show starring Chris Pratt, Constance Wu, and Taylor Kitsch, and it is about Commander Jack Reese. This is based on a book series by former Navy SEAL Jack Carr that currently consists of 5 books, and The Terminal List is the first one. It is currently on Amazon if you would like to watch it, but hey, we're going to go over all of it right here and right now, and of course, beware of spoilers in case you did want to watch it. This isn't any old review, though. This is here to get super manly. I'm gonna get super jacked up for this. We're gonna suss out the woke in The Terminal List. You ready? It's gonna be amazing. Episode 1, The Engram. Commander Jack Reese, which is played by Chris Pratt, leads his team on a top-secret mission to kill a chemical weapons terrorist in Syria named Kahana. Now see, so far, so good. Just American soldiers going into a foreign country full of brown people and shooting them because they're bad. Okay, so far, so good. When they arrive, it appears to be a setup. While pinned down, an SFP trooper panics and sets off a tripwire. Now see, already, we're getting into some trouble. Because that means that a US soldier was not properly trained to deal with battlefield conditions. Now that speaks to a problem with the psychological state of troops in our military. Uh-oh, they're not super soldiers, folks. Woke alert. Everybody knows that the only way that you suss out wokeness out of any kind of military story is to make your heroes, the soldiers, perfect. They don't panic. They don't lose their temper. They don't start flailing their arms around. Oh, what am I going to do? They don't do that. Terminal List? First scene, baby. First scene. Reese is knocked out and dragged to safety by one of his team members, Boozer. I don't actually remember if Boozer was his real name or not. I mean, it's pretty great, and it is definitely not woke. I mean, maybe he just drinks a lot of booze. I don't know. They're the only survivors. When he returns home, Boozer shoots himself the next day. Again, kind of problematic. It suggests that soldiers deal with depression and thoughts of suicide. We know, of course, that they don't, because to say that they have any kind of mental health issues that arise from battlefield conditions would be a woke talking point. We don't want to do that. However, Reese is told it took place 2 days ago. Ooh, plot twist. Reese thinks there is a cover-up. Yeah, of course he does. He has headaches and is not acclimating well at home with his wife, Lauren, and daughter, Lucy. Why isn't he acclimating well? Are they suggesting that the military doesn't do a good job acclimating troops to home life after missions? Wow. Okay, yeah, no messaging. His bosses don't believe him either. After the funeral of his entire unit, the Secretary of State, Louise Hartley, wants to award him the Navy Cross. Couple things, just one weird thing. They had a funeral for literally his entire unit at once. Apparently, soldiers are not worthy of having individual ceremonies. They have to have one ceremony for the entire crew. Personally, I feel like that's disrespectful of our military. And also, you might have noticed that the name Louise Hartley is a woman's name. In fact, it's being played by Jean Triplehorn. So, wait a second. The Secretary of State is a woman? Okay. Thanks for taking a job away from a man who was probably just as qualified, Jean. Reese also talks to a reporter, Constance Wu, who wants to know what happened there. Yeah, also another lead protagonist who happens to be Asian. And a woman who wants to help this guy figure out what happened in this conspiracy being set up by mysterious forces behind the scenes. Okay, diversity hire, I guess. Eventually, Reese heads to the clinic to get a CT scan. He wakes up from the scan with 2 Sicarios in the room with him. Reese fends them off, killing one, and the gun he takes from them is from his safe at home. And I'm not gonna lie, this actually was kind of a cool scene, because he's like in the CT machine, and there's guys in hoods that just come into the scanning room and want to shoot him while he's like in the hospital gown, and he comes out and he just starts Krav Maga-ing them all over the place. That was kind of great. Makes no goddamn sense whatsoever, but you know what? We'll go with it. Sure. He races home to ensure his family is safe. Unfortunately, he finds his wife and 9-year-old daughter murdered. Spoiler alert. Again. Now, I have to tell you that Reese's reaction to this seems very unmasculine. He is very distraught by the murder of his wife and daughter. And frankly, I don't think that that's how soldiers are supposed to react. They are supposed to be stalwart, non-emotional, cool, and collected in any situation. And, frankly, I don't know. A little feminine of you there, Commander Reese. A little feminine of you. Now, what Reese should have done, if this truly was an anti-woke series, is simply pick himself up, dust himself on, and move on with the rest of his life. You know, like normal people would. Episode 2, Encoding. Reese still suspects a cover-up. No kidding. He realizes NCIS Detective Holder may be one of the men in the clinic. With the help of his friend Ben, played by Taylor Kitsch, he breaks into the apartment while he sleeps. Reese wakes him up with a silencer in his mouth. Should be noted, what they mean is that Reese didn't wake up with the silencer in his mouth. The Detective Holder woke up because he put the silencer. This is not a very well-worded recap. It's just, I need something to remind me of what happened in this series. After some tough questions, the detective admits someone at Capstone Industries named Saul Agnon pays him for information and to handle certain matters. Holder tries to make a move, but Reese shoots him underneath his chin, making it look like a suicide. Oh, call back to Boozer. Bam. Good one. And he was not very emotional while he did it. Good job, Commander Reese. All in all, not a particularly woke episode. Although it was either the first one or the second one where they had a certain bumper sticker that was over Reese's gun case. I think it was actually in the first episode because the gun was taken out of his case. But it has a crosshair and it says, this is my peace sign. And a lot of people would normally read that as, being super masculine and, obviously, a target is the only thing that's really a peace sign. But if you really think about it for more than 5 minutes, what you realize is that this is actually woke messaging too. Soldiers can only find peace on the battlefield. They don't know how to acclimate when they get home. I.e., a crosshair literally is the only thing that will bring them peace. Personally, I don't know if that's a particularly good anti-woke message to be sending out there. I think that it kind of suggests that we condition soldiers to be simple fighting forces that lose all of their humanity, and that we need to somehow give it back to them. What they should have done is just have the crosshair and say, done. That would have been it. That's all you have to do. Don't equate it to peace. That's not what that's for. It confuses the issue, folks. It makes it sound like the military is trying to equate violence with peace. That sounds like messaging to me. I don't like that. Episode 3, Consolidation. Katie, they didn't mention this before, but Katie is Constance Wu's character. Just go with it. Finds out that Reese has a tumor in his brain revealed from the CT scan. Then a paid assassin tries to kill them both. Running theme. Reese learns that his family are victims of a corporate project of medication RD4895. He realizes this after interrogating Saul Agnon and then kills him by making it look like a drug overdose. Okay, this woke bullshit. Come on, folks. So what you're telling me is that our glorious military and our wonderful corporations have been experimenting on our soldiers and got them sick? I'm sorry, isn't that like anti-military and anti-corporate speak? Okay, call the woke patrol because we need to be out in full force right now. What's this bullshit? Corporations are perfect. Our military is perfect. The people that are in seats of power have done absolutely nothing wrong, and there is no reason to think that we have to change anything from outside the status quo. Boom. Done. That's what the message of this whole series should have been. What is wrong with these people? I mean, my God, folks, you can see it now, right? I mean, it's kind of amazing that Reese isn't a social justice warrior himself, going around with like a pussy hat on. Also, just a fun little piece of trivia. You might have noticed that they call this medication RD4895. If you actually look up 4895, one of the main results is about H4895, which is a versatile rifle powder used for 30-06 cartridges that was used by the military. It's a smokeless gunpowder, apparently. So, I imagine it's a reference to that. And yeah, a corporate titan of industry that employs a bunch of people. Our military's going around killing civilians on the homeland because they got a little emotional about things. Okay, you know what? Wow. Reese thinks it was a setup to make it look like the soldier had a breakdown. Reese just catching up with the storyline, huh? Secretary Hartley, the woman, has revealed plans to reduce troop readiness to its lowest levels since 2005. Well, thank you, Terminalist, for showing what happens when you put women in positions of power. Episode 4, Detachment. Reese, with the help of his friends Ben, Liz, and Marco, a lot of these people you kind of met a few episodes back. Don't worry too much about them. Kill an entire group of Sicarios that were responsible for killing his family. Katie finds out Steve Horn's company owns a controlling share in Nubellum, and they make over $70 billion a year selling medications to all 6 military branches. Okay, so now they're going after Big Pharma, I guess. Again, anti-corporate speak. I think they should be a little careful about that. The one really interesting thing about this episode is when they fly down to where the Sicarios are, there is a scene that I'm sure a lot of people would say is like over-the-top, ultra-violent, and totally anti-woke. And it is where Reese is interrogating this one guy who might have information. He's very angry with this guy about his role in, murdering his wife and child for some reason. Reese is emotional about that. Again, he's get deep in the feels. And he does this thing that's, I don't even know if I can really explain it, but he, cuts open the guy's belly, and he pulls out his intestines, and he, wraps his intestines around his hatchet, and he puts the hatchet up into the beams of this barn, and he tells the guy to start walking. And so as he walks, he has to pull his intestines out, and he doesn't get very far before he dies, because of course he doesn't. Now, a lot of people are probably going to be like, whoa, that was brutal, man. And I want you to realize what the terminal list has essentially just shown you. They have shown you that American troops are willing to travel outside the borders of the United States on unsanctioned missions so that they can go and kill other people and cause a lot of destruction, because, oh boy, do they cause a lot of destruction. A lot of explosions, a lot of gunfire, probably a lot of casualties that they did not intend, so that they can get revenge. This is not a pro-military show. This is showing the military as violent, destructive thugs that just go all over the world and commit what I can only imagine are many violations of the Geneva Convention so that they can take personal revenge. Who greenlit this? Did the military sign off on this? Do they think this is a good look for them? Now, the part where the drug company can make $70 billion a year selling medications to the military, that's fine. That's military contracts, and as we all know, it is a very anti-woke thing to give as much money to the military as you possibly can, even for military contracts. So, good there. I'm glad they're making their paper. That's how capitalism works, baby. Episode 5, Disruption. Katie's investigation leads her to question Mike, the former controlling owner of New Bellum. He tells Katie that RD-4895 was made to bypass neural pathways to help eliminate trauma or PTSD in soldiers, suggesting that soldiers would ever have trauma or PTSD, which, as we all know, the anti-SJWs made this very, very clear, soldiers don't get trauma. To suggest so is to make it seem like war is bad and that the soldiers are not getting the proper services that they need. And I am sorry, but that seems like social justice warrior bullshit. And that the military would sign off on having untested drugs used on soldiers? We know that that has never happened in history. So, yeah. Virtue signaling. The key to determining who had the approval of this experiment through Horn is in accounting, and who was responsible for giving the SEAL team brain tumors. Mike is shot and killed, and Katie survives because Reese saves her. Later, Reese kills Horn by injuring him with an EFT bomb and shoots him in the head. A lot more emotions and feels going on in this episode, I have to say, but besides that, I guess it's suitably violent. I should probably mention at this point that while it was very not woke in the first episode for them to go to Syria, find some brown people that did a bad thing, and shoot them religiously, that's fine. The rest of this show is about white people owning big companies that did bad things that Reese has to track down and stop. And I don't know if I like all this white-on-white violence, and I think that it doesn't really help the cause. So, Episode 6, Transients. Reese escapes into a national park after killing Horn and is hiding from a new FBI agent, Tony Lejeune, and his team. Reese continues to have flashbacks about his family and escapes the search for him, setting charges that create a landslide. He returns to Liz, who flies him to a drop zone where he meets Ben. I don't really even remember this episode. I think this was mostly a filler episode to get them from point A to point B. Don't worry about it. Episode 7, Extinction. At the end of episode 4, Reese learned that his bosses, Admiral Pillar, Commander Cox, and Captain Howard, knew about the experiment on his SEAL team. Reese kills Cox by breaking his arm and drowning him with a SEAL training log. So, real talk right now, this was actually an interesting poetic callback, just because in the first episode, they kind of like show Reese and his team like using the log and going up and down next to the shoreline as a training exercise that, you know, if you break, you're going to drown. And then at the end of all of this, he has Cox tied to that same log, and if he can't get back up, he knows he's going to drown. Of course, there's no crew around him to support Cox at that point, and so he obviously does drown because he's alone. But it is also a little bit undercutting because obviously Cox isn't alone. A lot of other people know about this, and if we were really looking into it from a critical angle, there would actually be a whole shit ton of people holding that log with Cox. But I'm glad that they didn't do that because it would suggest that there are larger systemic problems that Cox was part of, which, while they are making that narrative, would be a little too on the nose for that particular scene, and they wanted to make it a little bit more intimate. So, you dodged a bullet there, Terminal List. I'll give you that, but I see you. I see your bigger themes. I see what you're trying to introduce to the folks out there. I'm on to you. Howard is strapped with a bomb to his chest. Always a classic. He has it when he delivers it to Pillar's office because Reese will kill his son if he doesn't. They are both killed. Pillar and Howard are killed in the office, not the son. And again, I do not find this to be a very good representation of our military. I mean, our protagonist, Reese, threatens to kill a child. Our military does not hurt civilians, and to speak as if they do is undermining to our country. It is un-American. Let me get Jeff Bezos on the phone because his little Amazon series is 100% a bullshit. Also, Tony and Katie find out that the Secretary of State authorized the experiment on the SEAL team, but not the cover-up, letting the lady off the hook again. Then Hartley approaches Katie, allowing her to interview for the complete story, yada yada yada. Let's get to the end here. Episode 8, Reclamation. Hartley explains she never knew about the brain tumors or the cover-up. She was not the last unnamed shareholder who profited off of RD4895 that brought in shareholders millions when Capstone Industries signed a deal with Plano. However, after some research, Katie finds inconsistencies in her two stories, since she started a faux criminal investigation of the cover-up before Steve Horn was killed. At that night, Reese infiltrates Hartley's estate and enters the safe room she is hiding in with Katie. Before Reese can kill her, Katie steps in front of them, telling her she did not profit off the drug, but Hartley shoots herself in the head before Reese can do it for her. Alright, did you catch all of that? What just happened? But basically, all you need to know is that the woman in the position of power really didn't do all the bad stuff, but she still feels guilty for stuff, and instead of Reese being able to neutralize the threat, mostly the threat of a woman taking a man's position that he rightfully would have otherwise deserved, she commits suicide. More members of her military, like, straight up committing suicide, and backstabbing each other, and going after each other, and arguing with the brass. There's too much. I can't even unpack all of this. And Katie, the Asian lady, that's now like one of our best protagonists, because she didn't, like, go and kill random civilians left and right and tried to stop people from dying. Yeah, I guess she's the real hero here. She steps in front of the gun selflessly to prevent somebody else from dying. She's willing to sacrifice of herself. Okay, I get what we're doing here. Yeah, Asian people are great, And also, women are the real heroes. I get it. Can we start singing Fight Song? Let's just do it. Let's just do it, folks. The show ends with Katie discovering that the unnamed shareholder has connections to a company in Peru. Reese puts two and two together. Ben has a place in Peru, and yeah, I don't even worry about reading the rest of this. This is too confusing. Okay, basically, yeah, Ben, Taylor Kitsch's character, turns out he was the shareholder all along, and he took a bunch of money so that he would keep quiet about it. And so, Reese goes to his boat down where Ben's chilling out, and he basically, like, asks Ben why'd he do it, and, you know, Ben's like, there's a lot of money involved, because apparently our military can get paid off now. More bullshit. Anyway, the point is that at the end, you see the boat go into, like, a wide shot, and then you hear a gunshot go off after you saw Reese holding the gun on Ben, and you assume that Ben has died, especially because then Commander Reese goes up and starts piloting Ben's boat, and Ben isn't there. So you assume that that was the last person on the terminal list who did this cover-up, and now he has been neutralized. And Reese sails off into the sunset, having taken down corporate America and thrown shade at our military. Good job. Good job. Not woke. Bullshit. Tell me that doesn't sound like one of the wokest pieces of crap you have ever heard about. Okay, so here's how I think the story should have gone if you really wanted to create a woke-free narrative. Okay, so Reese and his team go into Syria. They find a lot of bad people who are brown and wear like the turbans and speak in dialects that they can't really understand. They're running around, they're shouting Allah Akbar, right? And Reese and his team just shoot all of them. They kill all of them, not out of anger and not out of fear, but with cool, calm precision. And then they get to the last guy, like the Bin Laden. It is Bin Laden. It's Bin Laden. And Reese goes up to Bin Laden at the very end, right? And sticks a gun in his face and says, "My God beat up your God." And then he shoots and kills Bin Laden, and everybody is super happy, and the whole team walks out. When there's like a big explosion in the background as they like put on their glasses. Then they get home and they realize that like the nasty Syrian terrorists had like a gas that gave them the brain tumor. It wasn't good American corporations that did that, or the military brass. No. It was the bad Middle Eastern people. So now Capstone Industries, being a good American corporation, the backbone of our society, finds a drug that they are willing to give to these soldiers to thank them for their service, free of charge. Well, no, they charge a little bit because capitalism is still a thing and you have to make sure that you get paid for your labor. But they give it to them and thank them for their service. And then Reese and his entire team just get free of all of the brain tumors, and they party and they drink lots of beer and they hoot and holler at half-naked women. The end. There you go. I fixed your series, Jack Carr. I can't believe that a former Navy SEAL would write such anti-American propaganda. And can you believe that the likes of Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro were promoting this as like this great resurgence, fighting the woke agenda? Oh, guys, have you had your blinders on this whole time? I mean, remember, this is Chris Pratt. He promoted the idea of interracial relationships between white and green people. It was right there. All right, so there you go. I did my script doctor thing. I fixed it. I made it not woke. You're welcome, Terminal List. This was fun. Maybe I'll do this with something else at some point. In fact, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more Woke Watch, tell me about a movie, a television series, anything that is traditionally seen as anti-woke. And I might just do a video explaining why people are wrong. Oh yes, it's all coming together. Yes. Yes. Your prophecy for the day. If revenge is a dish best served cold, why do we keep seeking revenge in the hottest places on planet Earth?